Hello and welcome at long last to another TARDIS Eruditorum video. Today, for better or for worse, we're going to talk about Time War, an infamously terrible story, and rightly so. But there are some things about it that are interesting. It really does show an improvement in terms of editing, in terms of shot composition, and in terms of the use of space compared to even a few years ago. And in that regard, it's a real beginning of a period of improvement in the program, even though it's not very good. I want to start by talking about the editing, and I want to start with a bit in episode 2. In this bit, Mel is trapped in one of the Rani's deadly devices, and Icona is about to try to free her from it. So the way these traps work is that they explode with the person inside. So Icona is trying to disarm it here, and watch as he goes to disarm it here, we get this explosion, and the explosion is actually just a cut to the Doctor blowing something up in a completely unrelated scene. It's a very clever cut. We get this moment of thinking that something terrible has happened, and then before we get a chance to process it, we've plowed into another scene. It's very clever, and it's much better than the editing has been in some time for the program. Now, I want to move to looking at how some of the location shots work. Now, the first thing to notice about this is how there's these shots of Mel and the Doctor looking at each other across a big physical space. That gives a really clear-cut arena in which this encounter is taking place. And we get these long shots from great distance of first Icona and then later Mel crossing the space. That gives a really just clear sense of the physicality of the space. It gives a clear sense of not only what's going on, but of the place. This planet feels more real than really any other rock quarry planet in the history of the show has before. And that lets us do this long, expectant tracking shot of Mel walking toward the Doctor that we're about to get. Because we know that how this space works. We know how this space is laid out. We can believe this extended shot here of Mel walking toward the Doctor. And that lets us build up our expectations. We think we know what's going to happen, and then we get that wonderful moment where Mel turns out to be an illusion. It's a very effective use of the location. But to really get a sense of how good that clip is, we should go back and look at a clip from Mark IV, just 2 seasons ago. In this clip, we've got Peri walking along. Yes, it's the terrible clip where she gets groped by a tree. But look at how we then cut to the Doctor, the Master, and the Rani reacting to it. And we cut to them, we look at them, we cut back to Peri. The thing we're missing here is any sense of the overall space, any sense of the shape of the forest, where this is taking place. We're just cutting back and forth to the Doctor, the Master, and the Rani talking, and to Peri's danger. It's not going to be until considerably later in the clip that we actually get a shot in which we get to see how this space is laid out. That really reduces the tension of this scene, even aside from the dodgy rubber tree and the terrible groping of Peri, which is lousy, yes. This is just much less effective because we don't get a sense of space. It's just a very static shot of the 3 of them bickering, and then this action sequence. In fact, we just cut to them walking across. We never get anything that gives us a sense of the relationship of the Doctor, the Master, and the Rani watching Peri in danger and Peri in danger. It's very disjointed and ineffective. And the use of studio space is improved too. We're still with Mark of the Rani. Watch how in this studio space, the camera either sticks in this one corner or there are a few reverse shots over to the other corner. But it's all very staged. We're keeping on one side. We don't really get a sense of space. It looks like a stage set. It looks like a theater set. We're almost back to the Graham Williams.
Otherwise I'm going to spend the rest of my days prancing around in these ridiculous skirts.
I better go with you.
But here in Time in the Rani, watch how the camera is moving, watch how Mel and the Doctor are moving around objects in the space. It's a much more involved use of the space. Even though this is a scene with only 2 actors compared to 4 in the last one, it feels much fuller and more dynamic and like more things are going on. The editing is moving around, we get camera angles throughout the space, we get people moving throughout the space. It just feels like a much more involved scene. Rani's laboratory feels much more like a place and is a much more memorable set. Even though it's a trashy and not terribly well-designed set. In fact, the set in Mark of the Rani looks better than the set in Time. The use of editing makes us have a much better sense of the Rani's laboratory as a place. Just like the use of shots and camera angles made Lakersha feel like a more real place than the English countryside woods. This is the sort of improvement we get in the Celestial Program. This is the way in which we just get more of a sense of space. The camera is much more involved, the camera is much more interesting, the storytelling is using the camera, using the editing, and it's just a better put together program. There's more going on. So even though Time in the Rani is really dreadful, we should acknowledge just how much better it looks than anything that's come before it in the program. That's all for today. Thanks for watching, and check out more commentary at tardisereditorum.blogspot.com. See you next time.